I'm here this afternoon with Avi Davis. You're with the American Freedom Alliance. We've just met. You just flew in from Los Angeles.
I did.
I'd like to introduce you to my audience. Will you give them some background on who you are and what American Freedom Alliance does, please?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be with you and to talk a little bit about what we do. First of all, my name is Avi Davis. I'm the president of the American Freedom Alliance in Los Angeles. I'm the senior fellow there as well. The Alliance is an organization that is created to defend Western values and ideals and identify threats to the future of Western civilization. And we focus on 5 specific areas, which include the rise of Islam, the academic bias, the academic freedom issues in our universities, media bias, and radical environmentalism and global governance. My personal background is that I'm, as you probably can hear, I'm an Australian by birth,
Yes.
naturalised citizen of the United States, a dual citizen of both countries, two of the greatest countries in the world, by the way.
Absolutely.
And I was an attorney in Australia. I've been a journalist here in the United States for close to 30 years. Founded the American Freedom Alliance with the idea of uniting peoples in the defense of Western values and ideas, which I feel are under assault. And I'm here in Kerrville today to speak to Pastor Greg Young's group, and I'm very happy to be here.
Well, welcome to Texas. We're delighted that you're here. I understand also that you have a home in Israel, so I'm going to think that you're up on a lot of the Israel topics and things that are going on over in that part of the world.
Yes, indeed.
Would you like to share some, you've just returned, I understand, from Israel, just recent, kind of the temperature of what's going on over there, and bring any breaking news to us that you may have?
Well, of course, the breaking news is that the Israelis are up in arms, and literally up in arms in rancor against the Obama administration and the deal that was cut in Vienna.
Yes.
And this is a very serious problem for the Israelis. They are the targets of the Iranians, the nearest target of the Iranians. They've suffered the sponsorship of terrorist groups which have bombarded Israel for the last 10 years. In the north in Hezbollah, and of course in the south, in the Gaza Strip with Hamas. Israel has fought now 4 wars with these terrorist groups.
Yes.
So the Israelis take very seriously the Iranians' declaration that they want to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. And they feel that the deal struck in Vienna is going to have a significant impact on the security of the state. And my prediction is that this deal, rather than preventing war, is just going to accelerate war. And the interesting thing is that the Israelis are now working in unison and very closely with countries which have been avowedly opposed to Israel's existence. Saudi Arabia, for instance, and Israel are on very close terms now and in cooperation with one another.
Interesting.
Jordan, Egypt, although there are peace agreements between those two countries, the diplomatic relations have never actually been closer, because they realize that Israel is the regional superpower and they essentially need to protect the moderate Arab regimes, because otherwise they'll fall to Al-Qaeda or to ISIS, which is basically the same thing. And so this is a very, very worrying time for Israel. I can't think of a time more saturated with fear in Israel's history than this time.
Really? What's the talk on the street there among the people?
Well, from left to right, and Israel has a very wide spectrum of opinion. Mm-hmm. There are many people who are on the left who are essentially anti-Israel, but they understand, that Israel's survival is on the line. Yeah. So you have the leader of the opposition basically linking hands with Benjamin Netanyahu. They just fought a very vicious election 4 months ago, with the Netanyahu won. But they are in unison. My opinion is that there will be a national unity government as Israel decides how it is going to strike Iran. It's not a question of whether, it's a question of when.
When, yes.
There's going to be a military conflict. There has to be, from Israel's point of view, because as Norman Harris argued in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, either you fight a conventional war now or a nuclear one in 4 years' time.
Do you see any hope with Congress putting any kind of stop to what's going on with this treaty? Or understand now Kerry's trying to not call it a treaty. So,
well, it's not called a treaty. They call it an executive agreement. I think that's what they've labelled it. Because if it was a treaty, it would have to get congressional approval. There was a legislation passed, of course, in January, which required the Obama administration to submit this to Congress, in order for it to go through, it had to have a 2/3 veto-proof approval from, disapproval.
right, yes.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think that this treaty is going to go through. I do believe that. I don't think that the Republicans and those opposed to this agreement are going to be able to muster the kind of support they need to prevent it happening.
Do you see any options for us to do to prevent this? We being the citizens or
Well,
somebody.
There are rallies taking place all over the country, and joining those rallies is very important. Then also to support the individuals who are so virulently against this. Now, Mike Huckabee, of course, came out with a very controversial statement that Obama is pushing the Israelis into the ovens. I mean, that Holocaust rhetoric really touches a nerve in many people, even those who have that point of view.
Right.
It's a very graphic image, and it's very close to the minds of many Israelis where the Holocaust is still a very powerful memory. But Huckabee is only voicing what a lot of Israelis feel, that Obama and the Obama administration and John Kerry are willing to sacrifice Israel in support of their grand strategic vision of the way the Middle East should be. Israel has become an obstacle for progressives in this country to world peace. That's the way they see it. That's the way they see it.
Yeah.
And so we have to stand up against that. We have to prove and we have to constantly state that Israel, its very existence is a boon to U.S. security in the region.
Absolutely.
And stability in the Middle East. Stability in the Middle East means peace for the United States. That is the reality. And Israel is there as a guarantor of American interests, and that point has to be made vociferously.
Because you have a large global experience and look at or toward the United States, how do you interpret the way the rest of the world is now looking at America, who we are, and what our character is?
This is a very serious problem too. I think that the view of America is that it is weak, as led by weak, foolish leaders who think the greatest national security threat to America is global warming.
Yeah.
I mean, this is outrageous.
Yeah.
You know, that Barack Obama speaks to a new West Point cadet class and makes the case that the greatest national security threat comes from global warming. I saw a video of an Egyptian talk show on this subject, and they were mocking him.
I don't doubt it.
They were basically saying, these are Egyptians, and they were saying, how can you possibly say something like that? We live here. We're confronted with ISIS in Libya. We're confronted with ISIS in Syria. They're cutting off people's heads. And they're going to come to you. They're going to be they're already in your cities.
They're here.
So that's how the rest of the world, I think that people with any sense now see it. Now, we're also in a period of denial and appeasement. We're back in the 1930s. I strongly believe this. We're back in the 1930s. with leaders who are so anxious to not commit troops to war, their own troops to war, that they'll do anything and they'll agree to anything with tyrants and authoritarians and barbarians in order to have some kind of accommodation.
Interesting.
And this is where we are. We're at Munich in 1938.
Wow.
And I want to say something that's very important to know, that every US president since Munich, since 1938, has invoked the spectre of that agreement. And it has been a guiding point, a guiding star for US diplomacy around the world. In other words, you have to, the words of Teddy Roosevelt, talk softly but carry a big stick. Ronald Reagan, trust but verify. These things have been abandoned.
Yes.
The whole concept of Munich, of the way in which the West caved to Adolf Hitler, that has been forgotten. Every president has invoked that spectre except for one. Barack Obama has never mentioned Munich. Never.
He's done a lot of things very, very different. Is there any perception outside of the United States looking at our president and our leadership that, in the past, our presidents have all been Christian and have basically stood on Christian principles in how they governed? Is there any chatter out there that this president might be making a fool of the citizens because it may not be a Christian and may truly be a Muslim setting us up?
Well, that's the old Manchurian candidate idea. I don't happen to buy that idea. Manchurian candidate, somebody who came in as under a disguise, that he was there. I mean, the actions of Barack Obama would seem to indicate that he doesn't have American security interests at heart, and they're not that important to him.
Right.
But as for being a secret Muslim, I tend to doubt it. I don't think he's much of anything. I think he's an existentialist more than anything else. I don't think that he believes in very much at all besides himself.
So as far as out there in the world, you haven't heard any talk?
Well, there's a lot of chatter about his Muslim affinities. Now,
True.
That's a different thing.
Okay.
Because you asked me about his practices. I don't know about his practices. I know that he hasn't been to church. I don't think he's been to church once while he's been in the White House. That's my understanding. But as for his affinities, I mean, it's clear from the very beginning. In June 2009, when he delivered the speech in Cairo, in which he basically apologized to the Muslim world for American actions and vaunted Islam as a great world religion. The fact that he cannot connect terrorism or terrorist activity with Islam, that he calls it violent extremism, and that there are groups all over the world committing violent extremism. The fact that 90% of terrorist actions actually originate with Muslim fundamentalists is beyond him, and he will not admit it. He will not. He will not grasp that. He will not admit it to the public. Now, George W. Bush wasn't very different. Calling Islam a religion of peace and talking about Islam. George W. Bush was ignorant, but Barack Obama is not, and so we are right to question. Where's he coming from?
Yes. Yes.
What are his interests? What are the motivations behind the policies that he's attaching himself to?
He was raised in a dual family of Muslim and supposedly Christian, the other half. So it seems that the Muslim affiliation
No, it wasn't
seems
Christian, it was communist.
Communist, okay.
Communism is its own form of
Yes.
religion.
Okay, that would be true.
If there's any religion, it's probably environmentalism. He probably subscribes to the religion of environmentalism.
That's why he's concerned about global warming.
Yeah, well,
Maybe.
well, no, it's many things. It's it's a whole world view. And it is its own religion with its own fall and decline and fall and Adam and Eve and its own. You read a fantastic piece by Michael Crichton, the great author Michael Crichton, from 2003. He talks about this at the Commonwealth Club 2003. Your listeners should look that up. Commonwealth
All
Club,
right.
Michael Crichton, 2003.
What was the name of it again?
Commonwealth Club.
Commonwealth Club.
That he spoke at the Commonwealth Club in 2003 on this very subject, on environmentalism as religion. And,
Interesting. I'll tag that on the video. I
Okay.
will.
Please
I will. Well, based on what we've discussed, is there anything that we can grab onto for hope to turn things around and move things in the right direction?
Well, there's always hope and change. The famous saying, we'll take the hope, but you can keep the change. Yeah, I do believe. I'm not I don't have a very skeptical view of the rest. I have a skeptical view of Barack Obama, but I do have faith in the American system of government, and I do have faith in America as a symbol of freedom and liberty around the world. I think that the people in this country are largely wedded to that idea, that they grow up with that idea. The problem is that not enough Americans, too many Americans take it for granted.
Yes.
Too many Americans don't understand what's at stake, and that we've become anesthetized with our popular culture, which provides us with game shows and reality television and a great deal of and celebrity culture, with the focus on Bruce Jenner, or Caitlyn Jenner, whatever he or she calls himself, and the Kardashians, and this nonsense culture where the reality of the world is sort of shut out. That has to be broken.
Or problems are solved in 30 minutes because television always has an ending.
That was true. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Crises in life end after 30 minutes. You're absolutely
Mm-hmm.
right. We need to break that.
Yes.
We need to, and unfortunately, it is broken. It's shattered when some catastrophe happens.
Yeah.
Such as 2011, 2001, 9/11, Hurricane Katrina.
Yes.
Something has to happen to wake people up. And I'm sorry to say it, but we are probably going to experience some kind of catastrophe like that in the United States within the next few years. I don't know if it will be during the time of Barack Obama or his or her successor, but it is my opinion that it's going to happen because we're asleep. We're asleep, and we haven't sealed our border, and we've got terrorists infiltrating it. We've got bad influences infiltrating it. Something's going to happen. The good and bad of that is that it's bad because I don't want people to die. I don't want anybody to be hurt.
Right.
But what is going to wake America up and
That's
make
a question.
we need to we're working here in the American Freedom Alliance. We're working vigorously to make sure it doesn't happen. We want people to realize that the situation is bad and it's getting worse. But American people are not awake to the real problems and the real issues.
Distracted.
And
Cell phones and games and TVs and cars and all the fun toys we have.
Yeah, we're playing with our toys while there are people plotting our death. And this is an indictment of the culture.
Yes,
it
it is.
Indictment of our culture.
It is.
We become glued to our television sets and to our cell phones, and we're not looking up.
Right.
We're not looking at what's coming to us. So we need to shout loudly. Those of us who are committed to the continuance and continuity of Western civilization and American culture need to look up, and we need to point everybody else in the direction of where the danger is coming from.
If they want more information about you and about your program, where can they get that information?
They can go to AmericanFreedomAlliance.org.
.org, okay.
.org. And they can go to my personal blog, The Intermediate Zone.
Say that again?
The Intermediate Zone.
Okay.
And they can go there and find some terrific information. We have great links to many different sources, news sources and things like that, with our own commentators writing about these issues. And we run a number of conferences every year in Los Angeles. We just ran a wonderful conference on the Magna Carta. It was the 800th anniversary of the Magna Carta in June. And we ran a major conference to talk about why the Magna Carta is significant and why we have to remember it and why it's such a cornerstone of Western civilization. And it's particularly relevant today because the Magna Carta is essentially a check on arbitrary power, on executive power. And our Constitution was developed with that concept in mind. And unfortunately, we have a president who's abused executive power more liberally than any other leader in American history. And so Magna Carta was very, very relevant.
No question about that. Is there information, or was that videoed or anything?
We do have some video on the website. Also, there's articles, reports about the conference, and you can see it right on the homepage.
All right, wonderful. Avi, thank you so much for your time this afternoon between your airplane flight in and your conference this evening. I appreciate it so much.
I'm so happy to be with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Okay, you thought of something very important that I would like for you to add to this piece. Go ahead, Avi.
Well, Kat, I just wanted to mention how important I think it is for Jews and Christians to work together.
Absolutely.
Into the future. We have a lot to defend.
Yes.
I didn't mention that I feel that the four pillars of Western civilization are under consistent assault from nihilists, existentialists, atheists, and those pillars are God, the nuclear family, democracy, and free enterprise. All of those are under assault by statists and by authoritarians, those who would like to see the West disappear and the United States as its leader disappear. Jews and Christians have a great deal to protect because all of those things, those four pillars I just mentioned, emerged from Judeo-Christian values.
Absolutely.
And are built upon them. So we have a joint enterprise here. And I would like to see more cooperation between Jews and Christians into the future.
I totally agree with you. That's an excellent point. Thank you for adding that.